What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. And in today's video we are back with the pressure rankings, the pressure ratings, a series that I've invented on this channel. I think starting at UFC, I want to say 300. I think I started this series at UFC 300, where I discuss all of the key fighters on the card and discuss what is at stake. How cooked are they with a loss? Are they not under too much pressure? Are they under immense pressure? What is the consequence of a loss here for them, or even a win? What are the opportunities that arise with a win? If you enjoy this type of video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're trying to hit 15k. We hit 14 recently. Let's try and hit 15k by UFC 314. That'd be sick. So if you could get me to that, I'd be greatly appreciated. But without further ado, let me know in the comments, who do you think is under the most pressure this weekend? And we're going to start off with the main event and the defending champion, Alex Pereira. So, Poatan, how much pressure is he under? Quite a bit, as you're going to be going into a title defense, a main event of a pay-per-view. But this one has some particular zing on it, you know. This has got some extra added pressure just because of the bad blood, because of the trash talk throughout the week, the build-up of Ankalaev declaring that Pereira didn't want to fight him and was being protected, saying, and everyone, this is sort of viewed as the matchup, like this is the crossroads, this is the fucking, let's hit a bowl, this is the final point of, like, can he make it over the, like, this is the Rubicon of Alex Pereira's career, in my opinion. Like, if he makes it past here, there's no turning back in terms of, like, cemented legacy. Now, is his legacy cemented already? Yes. Is he always going to go down as a double champion and the fastest ever person to achieve 3 title defenses, the fastest ever, I believe, to achieve 2 belts so 2 divisional champion status? Yes. But will his legacy take a hit, and will the potential of where he could end up take a hit if he loses this weekend? In my opinion, yes. If he makes it past this line, past this, like, 3 title defenses, in my opinion, is sort of where the cutoff lies. Like, if you got 3, that's great. That's very good. We saw it with Islam. He had 3. Look, again, he got a kind of freebie title defense against Moicano, so maybe we treat his differently and we make him get another one against an Armin. But it's sort of that line where if you can make it past that, you're really into that upper echelon of UFC champions. Like, 3 defenses is difficult. It's not impossible to achieve. It's been done. 4 defenses and above, once you get to 4 on 5, that's rarefied air. And especially as someone who already won a belt in another division, Poatan is looking to really achieve, like, some crazy legacy here. And also in my opinion, the best name on his resume in terms of context and impressiveness-wise. Izzy is, without a doubt, higher all-time than Magomed Ankalaev. I think no one can dispute that. But I think difficulty stylistically, and also the importance of this fight for him, I think, I truly believe this Ankalaev fight is what matters. Because, like, he lost to Izzy. He has a loss on his record to Israel Adesanya. People aren't discrediting him because of that. But if he goes out there and loses to Magomed Ankalaev and doesn't win that belt back at 205 and just sort of moves on and goes up to heavyweight, he will sort of have a cap on where we can view him all time. But if he wins this weekend, he's catapulting. I know Lucas will have him at, like, number 4 all time. You already know. But he's catapulting into that top 10 or top 5 even, nearing that top 5. He wouldn't be there already, but nearing it, especially with a win over an 11-fight unbeaten streak of Magomed Ankalaev. And overall, yeah, the pressure is high on Poatan. The pressure is high on any defending champion, but especially in this fight, there's that added sort of aspect of it. There's that sort of there's the build-up, there's a bit of a tense atmosphere, if you get what I'm saying, around this fight of just, like, no one really knows who's going to win. Like, Pereira was not a massive favourite against Yuri in either fight, or against Jamal Hill, but I feel like most people kind of knew he was winning those. Like, even the Jamal Hill fight, which had some beef behind it, no, I really didn't. I don't know about you. I didn't go into that fight being like, Pereira's about to fucking potentially lose here. Like, when the door closes on Saturday or Sunday in Australia, where I'm going to be watching, I'm going to be worried for Pereira that he just gets held down or just loses. I'll be like, shit, this might be it. Because usually, when we see these sort of less exciting guys challenge for the belt, or not even challenge for the belt, but just in general, against these really exciting fan-favorite fighters that we're really hoping for a win. You know, we get some wins out of them, and then they get, like, Oliveira. It really is giving me Oliveira vibes. Now, Islam is much more fun, and much better as a champion than Magomed Ankalaev would be. But it gives me the same vibes. Like, Oliveira had that fucking King Von level title reign, where he was just on smoke. And then we're like, oh, this is so sick. He's going to beat Makhachev, right? And he loses. And it's just like, fuck's sake. It gives me that vibe with Pereira. I don't want to bring that into existence. But I do think he can win. I do think he can knock out Ank. He seems pretty angry, Pereira. After that press conference, he seems pretty pissed off. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, pressure is high on Alex Pereira. Moving on, though, to his opponent, Magomed Ankalaev. Pressure is also very high on him. There's not the same sort of legacy pressure, though. So I will say Pereira is under a bit more pressure here than Ank. Now, look, if he loses, is he ever getting a title shot again? Doubtful. I think the UFC already didn't want to put him in this spot to begin with. Not because they're trying to protect Pereira, but I just think, like, it's not so much a Pereira thing, it's more just like a they don't like Ankalaev thing. So if Ankalaev loses, this is sort of his Leon Edwards Kamaru Usman, or his Bilal Leon Edwards, or his Marab Sean O'Malley, where, like, you get that shot, you're on your massive win streak, you get your shot. If you lose, you ain't ever getting back, and if you win, good for you, congrats. And that's why it does give me the vibe that potentially we see an Ankalaev win here. But I don't want him to win. I hope he doesn't. And yeah, he's under pressure though. He started to talk some shit, you know. He's putting some words behind this. He's standing on business, as the youngins would say. Why am I saying youngins? I'm 19. I'm not 19. I'm 18. Fucking hell. I'm trying to declare myself as older, make myself seem less of a child. But yeah, as the youngins would say, you know, he's standing on business. And Ankalaev is really getting some beef behind this. He's making it personal, you know. He brought along one of his cousins slash brothers slash lovers. I don't know what they are in Dagestan, you know. His shower assistant, who knows. Maybe his pet goat came with him to the fight, but I'm not sure. But that guy at the press conference was looking in two different directions. And yeah, he's bringing him along to fucking rile up Pereira a bit. There's some trash talk, there's some beef behind this one, and yeah, if Ankalaev loses, it's rough for the Dagestanis, you know. They already had Umar lose. There's two opposing things here that are like, okay, I don't know who's gonna, like, what's the vibe with? Like, ignore your stylistic breakdown of the fight. Just like in the comments, let me know who is the vibe, like, leaning towards in your opinion. Like, who do you just get the feeling is gonna win? Because I'm flip-flopping. Like, I was kind of thinking it, like, like, when the matchup was announced, I'm like, I genuinely think Pereira just KOs him. And then I'm like, stylistically, I still think Pereira can KO him, but I'm just getting the vibe what we're going to be in for a boring-ass fight, right? But I really don't know. I'm going back and forth. I'm picking Pereira, obviously. I'm standing with that pick, but yeah. Ankalaev under a lot of pressure for sure. Let's move on, though, to the next fighter, and we have Justin Gaethje. Definite pressure for Gaethje, I'd say. Not crazy amounts. Like, I don't think he's really there in the title picture anymore. But with a win here, he could probably swindle his way into a number one contender fight, or even a title shot if they needed a short notice pay-per-view. Not even short notice, just they need a pay-per-view main event. Like, what was it? 302 last year, they just needed a main event. Poirier was good timing-wise. He gets the shot, coming off one win. Alright, like, I could see Gaethje slipping his way into a title shot with a win here. If he loses, is he cooked? Kind of. I think he's probably fighting one more time and then leaving if that happens. So, definite pressure on Gaethje. But I think this co-main is more just about fun. And that was especially prevalent with that Dan Hooker fight. Like, the pressure, like, obviously there's stakes there. It's a top 5, top 10 fight. But ultimately, it's just fun as hell. Like, that's what we're here for. We're here to just have fun. These two are going to throw down. But with this Fiziev fight, there's a little bit more, like, stakes in my opinion. Just because, like, if he lost to Hooker, you'd be like, who gives a fuck? That's fun as hell. He can still fight a top 5 guy. It's Gaethje. But if he loses to Fiziev here, I think it's kind of like reality check. You ain't top 5 anymore. You've been passed up. Go retire, little bro. Like, that's the level it's at for Gaethje, in my opinion, with a loss here. Anyway, let's move on to his opponent, Rafael Fiziev. Fiziev, I don't know if I can know how to say his name. Fiziev, no one knows. But, have to get John Anik to pronounce it on board. I think it's Fiziev. I say Fiziev, but I think it's Fiziev. Anyway, Rafael Fiziev, he's under some pressure. He's looking down the barrel of a 3-fight loss streak. Now, yes, one of those is the Gamrot fight. But if you got 2 losses to the same guy, top 5 guy, it's kind of just like, you got a lot of work to do after that to prove your top 5 level. Like, if Fiziev loses this week, I just changed how I said it. If Fiziev loses this weekend, he ain't getting back to a top 5 opportunity for ages, if not ever. Like, this is not cooked for him if he loses completely. Like, this does not eliminate him from contention. But it'll just kind of mean, like, no one's really going to view him as highly. Like, I still think he's very good, win or lose. But, like, people are going to just be like, oh, well, he lost to Gaethje twice, and Gaethje's kind of fringe top 5, so yeah, Fiziev's not that level. If he wins, though, there's big opportunities for Rafael Fiziev with a win here, in my opinion, because if he wins, he'll be ranked number 3 in the UFC rankings. I imagine, or 3 or 4, I imagine they would probably put like a Holloway above him, just because he did also beat Gaethje. We'll see, though. But he could swindle his way into like a number 1 contender fight, just if he doesn't impress. Like, if he goes out there and KOs Justin Gaethje, it's big for him. Like, that really could do him a world of good. Anyway, I'd say pressure on both sides of the co-main. I would say Gaethje. Yeah, who's under more pressure? Fiziev, I'd say less pressure just because he's taking it on short notice. He's stepping up. I'd say Gaethje's fighting to really keep himself in relevance at the top. So I'll say he's under a little bit more pressure. Anyway, let's move on to the next fighter, and we've got Ignacio Bahamondes. Ignacio Bahamondes, a little bit of pressure for him. He's fighting for a top 15 fight. He's fighting on a pay-per-view main card for, I believe, the first time in his career. Big card as well. A lot of eyes on him. This fight's getting real built up. Like, people are getting hyped. This is like the hardcore fans hyped up, like, main event fight. Like, this is the non-main event main event of the card, even for some people, even with Gaethje Fiziev. And Bahamondes, yeah, he's fighting for that top 15 spot. He's been on a good streak, apart from that Ludovic Klein loss. But yeah, if he wins here, you're in with the Sharks. You're in the deep end. If he loses, you kind of just got to go back to being like a fun prelim fighter. That's the sort of state that I see Bahamondes in. Jalen Turner, though, his opponent, it's rough for Jalen Turner with a loss here. That would be, I believe, 3 in a row or maybe 2 in a row, because he's coming off the Moicano fight. But before that, it was the Bobby Green fight. No, but it would be like 4 out of his last 5 or something, or 3 out of his last 4 losses, just with that Bobby Green win mixed in there. But like, it's rough for him because Jalen Turner looks really good in fights, and I think, but he's 14-8. Like, everyone's got this sort of misguided thing about Jalen Turner, like he's just some, like, or not misguided necessarily. Like, I think he is good, but everyone has this expectation that he's just going to hit that stride and he's going to get into that top 5. He's going to get that signature win and get there. But he hasn't really been able to produce a big result against a big, like, name, against a top 10 guy. Like, Bobby Green was only ranked because he fluked to KO over Grant Dawson. And he won that. But, like, Dan Hooker lost, Gamrot lost, Moicano lost. If he loses here to Bahamondes unranked, like, he's been losing to guys above him for the most part, like Hooker, Gamrot, these guys. If he loses to Bahamondes unranked fighter, you gotta think he's unranked. You gotta think he's fighting a fucking Rebecca next or some shit, or like a Faresiam. And he's probably cooked. Like, he's just not, he'd be 14-9 with a loss. That just isn't a record you see with top fucking 15 fighters. So yeah, I'd say Jalen Turner's fighting to keep his spot, to keep his relevancy, to keep his name at, even in the talks of 155. Because on the right night, against the right opponent, I do believe he can still beat them. Like, against these pure strikers who aren't as technical and don't have a great chin, he can win. But it just seems like he runs into either grapplers who just take him down and he quits, or strikers with a crazy good chin who he can sort of out-technique and be looking better than, and then he just loses, like with Dan Hooker. So yeah, bit of pressure for Jalen Turner, certainly. Anyway, let's move on to the next fighter. Next up, we got Yasmin Lucindo. Who cares? Women. I don't know. She's a contender. She could probably get like a title shot with a win, honestly, because the division's that fucked. Amanda Lemos. Oh, she's an unk at this point. Like, yes, I say unk, like male. She's probably a man. He's probably a he. You know. But Lemos, I don't know, pressure, I guess. She's lost a few. She's kind of irrelevant now. No one cares about her. Anyway, let's move on to the next fighter, and we have Mauricio Ruffi. Mauricio Ruffi, Huffy, again, these names, how do you say them? No one knows. But Mauricio, I believe he's under some pressure here, obviously. He had a less, I would say, good and valuable, but less than ideal performance in his last fight against Hummus Yontop, is how you say his name, apparently. The big Peruvian dude that missed weight by like 12 pounds. Tried to get a catch weight and then missed the catch weight. Crazy stuff. But yeah, Lontop took his shots, got dropped bad. Roofy looked good in round 1 and 2, but we kind of saw him look a bit mid in the third, right? So this is where we got to see if Roofy's actually top level. Because Bobby Green, not top level, but like top 15 level. Because Bobby Green's that gateway to the top 15 for most people. He was ranked until he lost to Paddy Pimblett. And yeah, he is a solid striker. The chin is in question. The defense can sometimes be questionable. But if Roofy can go out there and sleep Bobby Green, he proves himself as a guy. That's what he's expected to do as well. So there's pressure not only just to win, but to look impressive and to actually live up to the hype, to get a finish. Because if he goes out there and just tit-for-tat range strikes Bobby Green and wins a close decision, that ain't going to do it. That ain't going to get the hype around him, because the fighting nerds are majorly on fire right now. Like, the plot armor is going crazy. And Roofy needs to get a fucking plus 10,000 aura KO this weekend. Otherwise, it's kind of going to eliminate people. Not eliminate, but like, people won't really view him. They'll be like, oh, we got Prates and Gene Sullivan, Borrelia. And then, yeah, there's Roofy off to the side who's kind of mid. And probably won't be anything. I don't think that's true. I think he will be something. But he needs to get a win to prove it this weekend. And he needs to get a KO as well, in my opinion. But regardless, his opponent, Bobby Green, I'm not calling another man king. That ain't happening. But Bobby Robert Green, he's under some pressure. He's coming off losses. He's at a rough point in his career. One loss, obviously, to Paddy. Before that, he beat Jim Miller. Didn't look incredible. Like, he looked good, but not like some like masterclass of a performance, generational fucking Holloway Cater level shit. He just looked okay. He was getting tagged by Jim Miller at moments. And yeah, before that, the bad loss to Jalen Turner. He's been KO'd by Drew Dober. Like, Bobby Green is not, in anyone's books, going to be a top 10 fighter. But he can still get those top 50. Like, he can still get a little bit more name value. I wouldn't say he's under too much pressure. He's expected to lose. He's like a plus 450. But still, he wants to win for sure. Just to sort of keep his name in that, not contendership, but like in that bunch of just like fringe top 15 guys. Otherwise, yeah, you're fighting fucking... Who are you fighting next? Like... Good luck, kid. You're fighting Natural Jubilee next. Good luck. But like, I don't know. Bobby Green with a loss, it's cooked. He's probably not fighting too much longer, honestly. If he gets KO'd bad, I could see a retirement within the next 2 fights. Anyway, let's move on. We got Curtis Razor Blades. Blades is under a lot of pressure because Blades is coming off a bad loss to Aspinall. He got his interim title fight, and he lost it, right? He loses to Tom Aspinall. He's now back to the drawing board, and he is getting sent so far back, it's not even funny. Getting sent to an unranked debuting fighter, Rizvan Kuniev. And yeah, Rizvan, who the fuck knows anything about this guy? We do know something about him, though, because he's a known roid cheat, and he beat Hernan Fajera in the PFL until it got overturned to a no contest for said roids. But Blades is under pressure, because if Blades loses here, he is fully cooked. Like, you cannot call yourself a top 5 fighter if you're losing to debuting Rizvan Kuniev, bro. Now, I do think Blades wins, but if he chokes this and gets nervous or some shit... But again, Blades coming off a loss, I think we see a good version of Blades. I think he gets it done. But speaking of the man Rizvan, the Rizzler, he's under some pressure, I guess. I mean, there's not... The expectations on him aren't that high in terms of, like, he's a big underdog. Like, he's, like, plus 250. So people aren't expecting him to go in there and, like, blow the doors off Blades. But if he goes out there and looks atrocious and just doesn't have any moments, it's going to be a bad look for him. It's more, I'd say, a bad look for like the PFL than it is him. Or it's even like a bad look for the UFC for even booking the fight, which I think they might be doing to be like, oi, please Blades sleep this bum. Like, okay, if he wins, then yeah, you can get a top... Like, if he wins, Rizvan's on a short list for guys for the, like, fighting for the belt against Aspinall. Because if Jones doesn't take the fight, Aspinall's going to need someone. And if Rizvan finishes Blades, he'd probably be the number 1 guy. Just because, like, no one really cares to see Garn after that Volkov fight. Almeida needs another win, plus he already lost to Blades. So if Rizvan can go in there and fluke a KO, it could be big stuff for him. So if it's not like there's much pressure on him if he loses, but there's a lot of stakes and there's a lot of opportunities if he wins. Anyway, moving down the card, we'll speed through some of these other ones. Joshua Van, he's my guy. Pressure on Van to sort of keep his name in that top 15 because he got bumped out with the entry of Ramazan Temirov. But if he can win here, he's definitely making a case for himself to be ranked. He's making a case for himself to get like a fringe top 10 guy, maybe like an Alex Perez or a Tim Elliott in his next fight, something like that. If Nicolau was still around, that'd be perfect. But yeah, Van looking to really assert himself in that top 10 with a win here and turn back an undefeated prospect. Ray Saruya, Again, I don't know, pressure, not really. Like, yeah, you're undefeated, you never want to lose that but it always happens to all these prospects. That's what we're seeing now. That's why I'm more confident in Van's win, because all these grappling heavy prospects that everyone's just so confident are going to fucking sub their opponent or be dominant in the grappling end up always looking just like mid kickboxers. Like, Ray Saru, I feel like, is going to be left stranded on the feet after failing his takedowns, and Van's going to whoop his ass. Anyway, moving down the card, Bruno Ferreira, Armin Petrosian. Ferreira, again, both the guys coming off a loss on the same card, both guys coming off a finish loss. You want to bounce back to keep yourself in somewhat relevancy. For Ferreira, who's under more pressure? I'd say Petrosian's under a little bit more pressure just because he's not as fun. So, like, he needs to keep winning consistently to even get the opportunities. Again, I'm talking about, like, Petrosian like he's going to be anything. He's an unranked guy at middleweight who doesn't show too much promise. But if he wants to ever be anything and he wants to get maybe a top 15 opportunity at some point, you got to win here, and you can't do anything but win until you get that shot. And as for, Ferreira, yeah, he's just a fun dude. Like, he's probably going to get finished or be... He's going to either KO Petrosian dead, or he's probably just going to get picked apart and TKO'd. Like, that's what I'm seeing with this fight. We'll see what happens in the end, but both guys, I'd say, under a little bit of pressure. Next fight, though, we got Carlos Leal, Alex Morono. Carlos Leal, he's under some fucking pressure from USADA, hopefully. I don't think... Obviously, USADA's not even in the fucking picture anymore. He's under pressure from the drug testing agency, because look at this man's chest. That is not a natural human being. He is on all the sauce. Let's see how he looks at weigh-ins. If he looks completely dead and mid, then might be time to fucking bet the house on Alex Morono. But Leal, there's always pressure. It's sort of like a Basil Lafez situation. When you look great in your debut or look pretty solid and almost obviously Basil Lafez did not beat JDM on damage at all. He got his ass whooped. But when you look good and have like great moments, obviously in Leal's case, he beat Renat. But when you have these moments, it does kind of create like, oh, this dude, he just looked so good in his debut. He should be something special here. And if you go out there and lose your next fight after that, you're like, oh, that debut was just a one-off. They're not going to be anything. So yeah, what's his name? Carlos Leal definitely wants to get a win here to sort of prove that he is actually legit. And as for Morono, he's expected to lose. Basically, his career at this point is just paid loser. I feel bad, but like he's beaten bums and he's lost to everyone else. So Morono, I guess he's probably fighting for his job, to be honest, because he ain't got that many. I mean, maybe they just like keeping him around to have him fight on Apex cards, but yeah, Morono, I'd say, is on the short list of guys to pretend. Like, if you're looking at guys this weekend who could be cut with a loss, I would lean towards saying that that Alex Morono's up on that list. Next up, though, who we got? Myron Santos, Aura, plot armor, hopefully. Looked great on Tough, needs to look good here. Get that hype going. As for Santos, yeah, moving on, though, who we got? Chris Gutierrez. I'm not talking about every single person on this card. I've covered most of them, but Gutierrez definitely under a bit of pressure, coming off losses, and was once a top 15 guy. Was once in a main event against Song Yadong. Was once coming off a KO over Frankie Edgar, having people think he's some dangerous fucking knee specialist, is going to beat everyone. Like, dangerous striker, right? And then he loses and gets outstruck and dropped by Pedro Munoz. Not the best look. So if he's going to win here, if he's going to be anything left in his career of note, he needs to get a win here for sure. And then last up, Ozzy Diaz. You know, he's a paid punching bag. He comes in, he gets paid to get slept, and he does it well. If he loses here, maybe they keep him around to continue him getting slept by prospects, but I would lean towards Ozzy Diaz is getting his walking papers with a loss here. That'll do it though, guys. Apart from that, like Castaneda, Francis Marshall, Jordan Santos, no one really gives a fuck. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the card. Who do you think is under the most pressure? Who do you think has nothing to lose? Like, subscribe, follow my socials, Left Lane MMA, on Twitter and Instagram and that. Follow me over there. Let's try and hit 1K on Insta, 500 followers on Twitter, and then 15K on YouTube. That'd be pretty good milestones to hit let's say by April. That's the goal. Anyway, goodbye. See you in the next one. Peace out.